It's time to listen to your heart, because you're not alone when you've got a design just like this. It's a heart with headphones. The Peyote Stitch Heart with Headphones is a simple bead pattern and is quite unique. It takes the shape of a heart and of course uses the Peyote Stitch technique, taking a simple shape, transforming it into something great. A simple design, and it's easy to make. So get ready for this tutorial to satisfy your creative needs. Feel free to give this video a like and enjoy this episode of TurboBeads. Here's the list of everything you need to make the Peyote Stitch headphone heart. Before starting this project, I'm just letting you know that I'm using Omniflex 15-pound high-strength fishing line. It's a string that works best with Peyote Stitch designs. It's an affordable string that's low in price but high in strength. So with that being said, I'm just keeping you informed and letting you know that this is a personal choice. It's not a sponsored video. Making the Peyote Stitch heart with headphones should be pretty simple. We'll start out by laying the beads in a 2-1-2-1 sequence using this order, as you can see it here. This will be the center row of the pattern, also known as the spine, which we'll be able to build around once added to the string. So just lay out those beads just as you see them here on the screen. Once you have all of those beads lined up, this is exactly what it should look like so far. As I've mentioned before, all of these beads are lined up in this 2-1-2-1 sequence and are ready to be added to the string. Then from here, we'll take 3 feet of string and match up both ends. Then we'll be able to take the beads from left to right and add them to the designated strings. One string designated to the bottom row and one string designated to the top. Then go ahead and take the bead furthest to the left of the bottom row and add it to the string designated to the bottom. Then you'll take the bead furthest to the left at the top and add it to the string designated to the top. When you have those beads on the string, feel free to let those beads fall to the bottom. Then for the next bead, which is in the middle, you'll take that bead furthest to the left in the middle and add it to both strings, just like this. Again, you'll let that bead fall to the bottom as well. From here, we'll continue adding beads using the same pattern, taking the bead furthest to the left at the bottom and adding it to the string designated to the bottom, taking the bead furthest to the left at the top and adding it to the string designated to the top. Then when you have the bead furthest to the left in the middle, you'll add that bead to both strings, again, just like this. We will continue adding beads to the string using the same method until we've added all of these beads on the string. I'm going to go ahead and let this step play out so that you have a clear visual reference to see how I've added these beads to the string. Just be sure to take your time when adding these beads to the string to ensure you've done it the same way. Again, it's the bead furthest to the left at the bottom, added to the string designated to the bottom, taking the bead furthest to the left at the top and adding it to the string designated to the top. Then taking the bead furthest to the left in the middle and adding it to both strings. With this quick reminder, you should see that adding the beads to the string is as easy as it seems. Once you have all of those beads on the string, you're going to hold both ends of string, pushing those beads toward the center of that string. Be sure that you push those beads in a tight formation and they'll look exactly as they were when they were laid out in that 2-1-2-1 pattern. As you can see, this is exactly how it should look. Then from here, you'll have 2 ends of string coming out of the ends of the beads. So you'll tie both ends of string together with a square knot to lock all of those beads into place. When tying your string together, be sure that your knot is tied nice and secure to ensure that everything stays locked into place and stays together. As I should mention, you'll definitely want to ensure that these beads stay in a tight formation. Now that the string is tied and all of those beads are locked into place, this is what it should look like so far. As you can see, we have 2 ends of string that we can use that we'll add beads to and build around this main row of beads by filling in the open spaces. So what we'll do from here is we'll take one end of the string and run it back to the closest bead on the bottom row. Watch close as I guide the string to this bead, pulling that string all the way through, and this will set us up for the next steps. Now we're all set to start adding beads to the string and fill in these open spaces. Using that same end of string, we're going to add one black bead to that string. Once you have that bead on the string, then you're going to run that string to the next bead on that bottom row, which is this red bead here. Watching close as I guide the string to this bead, pulling that string all the way through until that bead that was added stacks right into place, filling in the gap. From here, we'll continue using that same end of string. This time, we're going to add one red bead to the string. Now that we have that bead on the string, we're going to run that string to the next bead on that row, which is this red bead here. Watch close as I guide the string to this bead, getting that string through that bead, pulling it all the way through until that bead that was added stacks right into place, filling in that gap. Let's fill in the next open space using that same bit of string. We're going to add one red bead to that string. Once you have that bead on the string, you'll run that string to the next bead on that row, which is this red bead here. Again, continue watching as I guide the string to that bead, pulling that string all the way through, and that bead that was added will stack right into place. As you can see, we still have more spots to fill. We're going to add another red bead to that string, and we're going to run that string to the next bead on that row, which is this red bead. Get that string through that bead, pull that string all the way through until that bead that was added stacks right into place, filling in the gap. As you see, the next open spot is here. So again, we're going to take that same end of string, but we're going to add a black bead to the string this time. When you have that bead on the string, you run that string to the bead on the end, which is this bead here. Get that string through that bead and pull that string all the way through until that bead that was added stacks right into place, filling in that gap. As I should mention, be sure to pull the string just enough to keep those beads in a tight formation. This is what it should look like so far. So from here, we're going to take that same end of string and we're going to run it through the bead that was just added, which is this black bead here. So just watch close as I guide the string through this bead, pulling that string all the way through. Once you have that string through that bead, from here, we're going to use that same end of string and we're going to run it through the next bead, which is on this upper row here, to get to the next row. So just watch close as I guide the string to this bead and pulling that string all the way through. Basically, what we're doing is we're leaving an open space for this part of the pattern. And as a quick tip, be sure to take your time when running your string through these beads, ensuring they don't get caught or hung up on any other beads. Then from here, we can finally run the string to this red bead here at the bottom row. Watch close as I guide the string to this bead, pulling that string all the way through, setting us up to add more beads to fill in these open spaces on this row of the pattern. So it's just as we've done before, using that same end of string, we're going to add one red bead to that string. Once we have that bead on the string, we'll run that string to the next bead on that row, which is this red bead here in the middle. Watch close as I guide the string to this bead, pulling that string all the way through until that bead that was added stacks right into place. Again, using that same end of string, we'll add another red bead to that string. Then we can run that string to the next bead on that row, which is this red bead here. Get that string through that bead, pull that string all the way through until that bead that was added stacks right into place, filling in the gap. As I mentioned before, be sure to pull that string just enough to keep those beads in a tight formation. From here, we'll run that string in the other direction to this red bead here to fill in the open spot. So just watch close as I guide the string to this bead, pulling that string all the way through. Of course, this will step us down to the bottom row to fill in this open spot. Now we can add one red bead to the string and run that string to the next bead on that row, which is this red bead here. You'll get that string through that bead and pull that string all the way through until that bead that was added stacks right into place, filling in that gap. From here, you should see that we finished the bottom half of this pattern. At this point, we'll need to run the string through a number of beads to reach the end of this pattern with the string coming out of the bead on the end. So just continue watching as I guide the string to these beads, which will take us to the bead on the end of this pattern. Again, as I should mention, you'll want to be sure to take your time when running the string through these beads, ensuring you've gone through the correct beads, which will keep that string hidden within those beads as well. You'll also want to be sure that string doesn't get caught or hung up on any other beads. With this visual, it should be clear to see on the path that I've used to run the string through these beads. It's exactly as it looks and as easy as it seems. Now that we have the string coming out of this black bead on this end of the pattern, we'll just leave it here for later use. From here, we'll need to use that string on the other end of the pattern to build on the top row, but first we'll need to take that string and run it to the closest bead on the top row here. Watch close as I guide the string to this bead, pulling that string all the way through, setting us up to add beads for this top row. Now we can take that string and we're going to add a black bead to that string. Once you have that bead on the string, then you'll run that string to the next bead on that row, which is this red bead here. Get that string through that bead, pull it all the way through until that bead that was added stacks right into place, filling in that gap. Let's go ahead and fill in the next open spot. Again, we'll use that same in the string. We're going to add a red bead to the string. Once you have that bead on the string, then you'll run that string to the next bead on that row, which is this red bead here. Get the string through that bead, pull that string all the way through until that bead that was added stacks right into place, filling in the gap. In order to maintain the shape of the heart, we'll run that string to the next bead here on the lower row. This will keep an open spot of the pattern. Basically, it's like skipping a spot. So when we get that string through that bead, be sure to pull that string all the way through. Now that we have that string through that bead, we're going to run the string to the next bead on the upper row. So just watch close as I guide the string to this bead, pulling that string all the way through, stepping us up to the next row. As you can see, we now have the string here on the upper row and ready to fill in the open spots of this top row. Again, we'll use that same in the string, and we're going to add one red bead to that string. Now we can run that string to the next bead on that row, which is this red bead here. Get that string through that bead and pull the string all the way through until that bead that was added stacks right into place, filling in that gap. As you can see here, we now have one more open space to fill. So we're going to take that same in the string and we're going to add one black bead to that string. Once we have that bead on the string, we're going to run that string to the next bead on that row, which is this black bead here on the end. Get that string through that bead and pull the string all the way through until that bead that was added stacks right into place, filling in that gap. As a quick reminder, be sure to pull that string just enough, keeping those beads in a tight formation. Now that we have both ends of strings coming out of the beads here on this side of the pattern, we'll tie both ends of string together with a square knot to lock all of these beads into place. Be sure when tying your string together that your knot is tied nice and secure to ensure that everything stays locked into place and holds together. Now that the string is tied, all of these beads should be locked into place. As the pattern is almost finished, we aren't done with the string just yet. So from here, we'll take one end of the string and we're going to run it through a number of beads that will take us to the other end of this pattern with the string coming out of this bead on the end. So just watch close as I guide the string through these beads that will take us to the other end of this pattern. Again, I'm going to let this step play out so that you can see the path I've used to run the string through these beads. As I've mentioned before, be sure to take your time when running the string through these beads. You want to make sure that the string doesn't get caught or hung up on any other beads. Also, remembering to ensure that you've gone through the correct beads so that you keep that string hidden within those beads. With this clear visual reference, you'll see that running the string through these beads is as easy as it seems. As you may notice that the string is weaving through the beads in a zigzag pattern, which should feel pretty familiar. I would compare this portion to basic sewing or weaving, as it may almost be the same. With that being said, just know that the objective is to reach the other end of the pattern, keeping that string from showing through these beads. Also, make note that there isn't truly a wrong path of running the string through these beads as long as they stay hidden within, as there are many different paths and ways that you can do this, so just go what works best for you, using this as a guide or example to learn this technique. As I've just mentioned, there are always different ways of doing things as well, as you can always use different colors and combinations to make your creation. So leave a comment below and let me know what cool color combinations that you choose to make your heart with headphones. Once you have that string through that bead here on this end of the pattern, we'll leave it there for later use. Now we'll use the other end of string on the other end of that pattern and run it through these two black beads, stepping us up to the top row in order to make the headband of the headphones. So just watch close as I guide the string through these beads, pulling that string all the way through to set us up for the next step. Now that we have the string coming out of this black bead here on the top row, we're now ready to create the headband of these headphones. So what we'll do from here is use that same end of string, and we're going to add 9 black beads to that string. Continue watching as I add these 9 beads to the string, which will make up the headband of these headphones. Once you have those 9 beads on that string, we can now use that same end of string and run that string through the 2 black beads here on this end of the pattern. So just watch close as I guide the string through these beads. Once you get that string through those beads, be sure to pull that string all the way through, and those 9 beads that were added will take shape, creating the headband of the headphones. So now that you have the string coming out of this end of the pattern, we'll now have 2 ends of string that we can tie together to lock all of those beads into place. Be sure when tying your string together that your knot is tied nice and secure to ensure that everything stays together and locked into place. Once your string is tied and everything is locked into place, carefully cut off the tied loose ends of string, and your peyote stitch heart with headphones is now complete. And there you have it, another peyote stitch bead design that looks fine, that was fun to make. Hopefully this tutorial was helpful and you can create one just as great. If there's anything you would like to add, requests or suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. And if you are new or you just haven't already, don't forget that you can always subscribe if you want to be notified for more bead tutorials just like this one. Hoping you'll tune in for the next one to satisfy your creative needs. Until next time, as always, keep spreading the love. Thanks for watching TurboBeads.